For centuries, the vast Indian subcontinent has been a land of movement, of trade, and of change. But between 1750 and 1900, a new wave of migration reshaped the landscape of Southeast Asia. Indian migrants between 1750 and 1900 lived in harsh conditions, including low wages, poor housing, disease, and social discrimination. We'll be exploring this today as we follow the story of Muhammad. This is Herberta with Sigma News Network presenting to you the Indian migration crisis. The rise of European colonial empires, British in India, Dutch in Indonesia, and French in Indochina, drove a demand for labor. Whether by force, by contract, or by choice, thousands of Indians crossed the Bay of Bengal, seeking opportunities in distant lands. The taxation system was at an all-time high. The heavy and exploitative taxation policies imposed by the British colonial administration, such as the Permanent Settlement Act, burdened Indian farmers, making migration an appealing option. Furthermore, many regions in India suffered from economic instability due to colonial exploitation, famines, and lack of industrial development. This forced people to seek better opportunities abroad. After the abolition of slavery, the British introduced the indentured system, where Indian laborers were sent to plantations in Fiji, Mauritius, the Caribbean, and Africa under contracts that promised wages and housing, but often led to exploitation. The journey across the Bay of Bengal was long and uncertain. Ships carried hundreds of migrants in cramped conditions, where food was scarce and disease spread easily. Over 1.6 million moved, utilizing indentured servitude, mostly to countries such as Burma, Malaysia, and Singapore. For many, the journey itself was a test of survival. Cramped aboard wooden ships, they endured weeks at sea, facing hunger, disease, and uncertainty of a new world. However, once Muhammad arrives, he's greeted with angry natives. However, they'd still build railroads, and there were a variety of merchants, such as the Gujaratis and the Sindhis. There were also many servants and clerks. Indian laborers were paid significantly less than European workers and were often unable to improve their living conditions, despite hard work and the fact they produced many of the cash crops, or crops that were in high demand.
Transitioning to interview section.
My name is... And your name is?
Gerald.
Okay. Our first question is, can you explain why so many Indians migrated to Southeast Asia between 1750 and 1900?
There were several factors. British and Dutch colonial expansion created demand for labor, especially for plantations, railway construction, and port industries. Many Indians, particularly from Tamil Nadu and Bengal, were either recruited or coerced into indentured servitude. At the same time, traders and merchants saw opportunities in the growing economies in places such as Malaysia or Burma.
What were the biggest challenges that these migrants faced upon arrival?
For laborers, conditions were incredibly harsh. Many were promised good wages but ended up in near slavery conditions, working long hours in plantations, suffering from disease, and cramped barracks. There was also racial discrimination under colonial rule, limiting their rights and social mobility.
How do you see the legacy of these migrants today?
It's everywhere. In the temples they built, in our festivals, in the food we eat. Indian culture is now deeply woven into Southeast Asia's identity. What was once seen as just a labor migration became a lasting contribution to the region's heritage.
From infrastructure and trade to cuisine and religion, Indian migrants didn't just come to work. They became an integral part of Southeast Asia's social and economic fabric.
Please like and subscribe.
Out at 1 in the morning, you really wanna know this kind of life never boring. She bought Dior with a man from the store, but she bring it to my table when the drinks start pouring. She asking to come with the crew, and the accent